So now we have a new guest today. David, please introduce yourself, David. I like for the guests to introduce themselves because I know I get the name wrong or the company wrong, and then you get mad at me. So my friend, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, thank you very much for having me, both of you. Appreciate being here. My name's Dave Koster, and I live in Mooresville. I'm the owner of a company called Team Learning Services, and we just started last year in April. And
brand new businessman.
I was going to say, not even a year yet. This is exciting.
It's very exciting. And of course, as you both know, there's challenges that go along with that too, but it's very exciting. And
I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, but Melissa and I know.
Well, tell me then. Tomorrow, Saturday.
I'm kidding.
No, I don't know either, but
you never know what's going to go on in here or in the real world, right?
That's right.
But yeah, I started life in a small town in Pennsylvania, so I'll give a shout out to my friends and family in
Go Steelers.
East Stroudsburg, no, other side of the state. But yeah, Steelers are good. You know, a small town with, I guess, traditional experiences, traditional outlooks on life. And I started life as an auto mechanic. I went to community college after high school and learned how to fix cars and did that for 10 years. Really enjoyed that, but at some point I felt like there was other avenues for me to take and other opportunities I wanted to explore. So I went back to school, went back to college, and at this point I was living in Orlando and enrolled at University of Central Florida.
That's from one extreme to the
That
other.
is.
Well,
you had to change your wardrobe.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to the, I guess, the rest of the story, which is very typical, right? Ending up here in North Carolina.
That's it.
But I started out as a business major at University of Central Florida. Got to my sophomore year and realized, no, business probably wasn't my strength, and I didn't see myself where I was going with that. So after some soul searching, I decided to change my major to education, and got my degree in science education, and really started out teaching for 3 years in the Orlando area, and realized that I think as a lot of teachers, we sometimes wonder
you ran into
how
a child like mine. I know what happened. I understand.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't want to spend all day with my child either. I understand that.
So no homeschooling for you?
Yeah, I think a lot of teachers, we get to a point where if we're there for long enough, we realize that every year we get a year older, but the students stay the same age, and that gap starts to grow, and then sometimes they're not
point.
quite.
But it is. I was saying this wasn't a math class. You just did some numbers right there. So.
We're not quite as amusing as they were the first year.
You've seen that 6 times. You're like, that's not funny anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So I start looking ahead. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to be? So I kind of took some time off and got a master's degree in instructional systems design.
So you've been in schooling quite a bit. So whether teaching or learning yourself, you've done a lot of education aspects.
It's always been a comfortable place for me. It's always been an enjoyable environment.
That's always plus because you do better when you're comfortable. That's good.
Yeah, there's so much variety in a school. I mean, you've got the different classes, you've got pep assemblies and sports and concerts, and there's so much going on in a school. It's very appealing to me.
Back up.
So.
What was the degree?
My bachelor's degree is in science education, and my master's degree is instructional systems design.
Instructional systems.
Can you do that, Joe?
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah,
What is it?
That is my challenge in life, is getting people to understand what I do.
That's why he's got the degree in teaching too, so he can explain it to you.
Yeah, just to tell me what the degree is.
Tell you what the degree is.
Yeah, you know, if I go and meet people at a chamber event, I can't say I'm an accountant, I'm an attorney, I'm a realtor.
Instructional engineer.
I
can't remember how many words was that. 3?
3 words. Yeah.
3. Okay.
Yeah. It was a very highly respected.
It makes you sound very important.
It does make him sound like a big head.
I'm sitting here thinking
head.
I need to come up with another title,
Yeah.
Owner. That just doesn't work. It's not as
There's
impressive as
not
his.
as many letters.
That's right.
Joe, the radio man.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work.
Just,
Well, we'll see where it's gotten me.
I'm on the radio with Joe. I mean, what else?
whoa.
He said that's a compliment.
Thank you for clarifying.
I want to hear what this thing is.
Yeah, we need more explanation. Where does it take you to?
Instructional systems design is really the science of education and training, developing education and training. So there's a process to it. You would never go into a...
Joe's looking confused. You need to help him.
So it's an elevated teaching process and system. Am I close?
It's creating...
She said,
it's a way to create effective
Humor
training.
him. Just tell him, sure. You'll never get him the next sentence. We will not get to your current business. We're still stuck in college with you.
Okay, I got you.
Well, it
Okay.
accelerates
Just
quickly
nod and
after
say
that.
yes, Joe. Okay.
So I got into instructional design, which is really developing training for business or military or academics. So it's getting out of the classroom or public school teaching.
Which is a big deal because all these tutorials, all of this stuff online, all of this stuff needs that sort of discipline and focus. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, you've
I'm
never.
connecting.
You're good now.
I'm getting
You're good.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
never been a
We
business
can move forward
owner-
in his life
Yeah.
now. We can take you out of your college years now. And
Well, you know this, Melissa. There's never been a business owner that hasn't said we need to train our people.
no, they don't come in pre-programmed.
No.
No.
And a lot of business owners aren't trainers themselves.
Right.
So we are really the training expertise that a lot of business owners don't have but need.
Gotcha. So can you take a person off the street that's wanting a job and make them fit for a particular business? Or what do you do with the people?
question.
Maybe, I was going to say, because I'm sitting here, what could you do for a business? And is that limited? I'm going to let you take the mic back and tell me what you can do with that human.
Well, there's always predispositions for a certain role. I mean, there's some people who just
Right, a
aren't
bad fit.
into.
Yeah, don't put them there because they're not going to.
Right.
So you start with the test so you know what their predispositions are, and then from there you'll take them to training in the direction you think is a good position for them. Is that how you would go with that?
Well, for the most part, we're supporting the business function. So the hiring part, we can consult on hiring to make sure that, all right, what are the characteristics for this particular role? And then to consult with the hiring people to make sure that they are aware of that.
Okay, Dave, I got a question before we go
Sure.
further. Who comes to you, though? The person looking for the job or the business?
The business.
The business. Okay, I
Right.
want to make sure that you're not going to have a bunch of people show up in your door and I need a job, man.
Yeah, no, if I understand him correctly, he would put your training material together so that once you've hired them and tested them to make sure they had a good
Smile on their
disposition
face and-
so that they
right.
smile,
Okay.
then he'll help them train and get them up to speed as
Okay,
efficient
I'm
as
catching up.
possible.
I don't have
Am
that.
I
yeah.
am I with you on that?
Exactly.
I'm getting this.
Hey, you did
Perfect.
great. That explanation of his degree really paid off. See,
Yeah.
you're such a good teacher already.
Well, actually,
You're a
yourself-
great teacher.
Give yourself a raise.
I saw his fingers on the laptop. He's probably
Was
at
he
Google
s-
right now. What the heck
I'm
is
on
an
your website,
instructional
buddy.
He's
design?
doing a background check, you know.
So, yeah, that's
No, I get
very
it.
much
I absolutely get that. So if you're having trouble at McDonald's teaching somebody how to work on this cash register because it's taking 3 weeks, which is too long of training, he's going to tell you, I can create some sort of video and or training process to speed that up so in 10 days they'll be efficient on your
We got
Patrick,
10 minutes
how
to
am I
make it
doing?
happen. We're fast
Yeah,
food. 10 minutes. Make them learn it now.
Yeah, you're not
We're
alone
dealing
in
with
that.
ghosts over
Was I
here.
close? Was I
Fix it
close
now.
to what it is you do?
You're really right on the money. And
Wow.
What he
Right on the
wanted
money.
to say was
Exactly.
All right. Okay. I'm
Say
learning.
exactly and humor him again.
Exactly.
Dave
So much
says,
better.
"Okay, I'll play along."
Yeah, play along.
But that is one component of it. There are other parts to it, and as you kind of alluded to, you really have the downstream, the upstream, and the downstream parts of that. So while I might not be directly involved in the hiring, we do want to make sure that the person is educable, not so much as for who they are as a person, but that they have an aptitude for that type of work.
Gotcha.
So, but most hiring managers understand that.
Well, we're learning that as business owners
Right.
that these tests on the front end do help us make sure we don't make big bad decisions
Right.
on the front end. So we're kind of learning that. Do you dig into the whole whether it's got to be video or whether it's got to be printed material? I mean, is that all part of what you do?
Well, that's a really interesting point because there's talk about learning styles, and I won't get into the academics of that, but there are some myths out there in our world. Learning styles is kind of one of them, to think that people learn a certain way. And I would never provide a training program that
One size fits all. No,
no,
it doesn't work.
It
Exactly.
isn't. You really need to develop training to the work
Okay.
and what the business outcomes are requiring. So you don't want to just say, here's a training program and having it sit by itself. That's the upstream, downstream. You really want to start with the end in mind and say, what is the business outcome of this training? What is your business goal that this training is going to support? and really understand what are you trying to accomplish through your employees, and then make sure that your employees can accomplish those goals through the tasks that they're required to do day in and day out.
Oh, that's good, because sometimes as an employer, I believe that you sometimes forget that these people are coming in and they don't understand what you already know. You just think because they walk into the building, they absorb it. You know, you need to teach
Well,
it.
and that's interesting, because what happens when you created something? Don't you have to kind of test it, like make sure that it works? I know in your case I'm being simplistic when I say, learn how to run the cash register, McDonald's. But the question is, once you've created something, somehow you've got to test it, right? To make sure if in fact it's working. How do you do that?
Well, again, that really, yes, you have to do that. And otherwise you're just throwing something at it, and I wouldn't feel good about accepting payment for something I did and then not know whether it worked or not. And if it didn't work, then I'm going to take the blame. So again, that's why we tie it to business outcomes. And so the testing really can be a couple of different ways. If it's a fairly simple skill, we can do the show me that you know how to do this, and prove your competence in that task. There's a longer term measurement as well, which is up to the business owner and the managers, because the managers have to buy into this is a
best way to teach them.
A best way to perform those tasks. And then over day after day, on the job, the manager is then responsible to ensure that employee is actually doing what they were trained to do properly, and that they're applying those skills and those tasks to the
so what kind of businesses are coming to you? Who do you work with?
Yeah, well, I'll work with most types of business. I guess my target niche that I'm trying to build this business on is a small company, 2 to 250 employees. It could be in retail, food and beverage,
so you can,
consumer services.
What about automotive?
Automotive would be great, yeah, sure.
Back in the early days of your employment.
Yeah, light industrial.
That was a great question, because I was wondering what industries you kind of focus on. So your job is to take the shortcuts that I have in my mind and make sure that they are the best way and efficient way, and then turn them into a training process. Am I understanding that correctly? Because if I'm the manager and I know a shortcut, first thing I'm going to do is turn on the videotape or whatever and say, but when you get to this section, don't press the blue button and go straight to the red button, right? I mean, so am I describing what you're trying to do to make that more efficient?
Yeah, people ask me all the time, well, how can you teach training, or how can you develop training in an industry or a job that you don't do yourself? And I say, I don't have to know all that information. It's helpful if I do, but I don't need to, because that information, that knowledge is held within the company. And it's my job to pull that information out and then make sure, again, that it's delivered in a manner that the people who need to learn it and need to understand it do and can.
Because that's a special skill. I can know how to do something, but teaching it, it's a whole different skill set.
He's practiced.
Yeah, 30 years.
Yeah, he practiced on it. and how do those students turn out? They're all successful, right?
So
everyone.
Everyone.
I've never had an egg thrown at my house.
Okay, you're on a roll.
So if somebody wanted to reach you, how could they reach you?
All right, you can get to me, David at teamlearningservices.com, www.teamlearningservices.com, or by telephone 980-435-1457.
Thanks, Dave. Let's take a break and then we'll come back.